Hi everybody, welcome to week 3. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Had an opportunity, I hope, to maybe catch some football games going on. There's some pretty exciting ones. My wife, I don't know if I told you guys, but my wife works in orthopedic surgery, and she handles all of the sports medicine for Twin City Orthopedics out of Minneapolis. And part of her responsibility is taking care of the Vikings and the Twins, Minnesota Twins, and I think they just landed the soccer team. Anyhow, she's got a big job. She has about 90 some odd doctors that she's working with. But as part of that, she gets, of course, updated information, which is absolutely terrible for me doing fantasy sports, because I'll ask her how so-and-so is doing, and if she's heard about a particular player. And what she does is, as she should, she pulls out a newspaper, and I can hear her over the phone pulling out the newspaper, and she'll read me verbatim what has been produced. She won't tell me anything, basically. But she is going to, as part of this, she's been doing this for 20-something years. She goes to every one of those Super Bowls, and she works the week before putting on the event of the Super Bowl experience. And that's just something she enjoys doing, and she gets into it. Sometimes I get to go. This year I'm not going due to COVID restrictions. But anyhow, I will share with you guys things not only from the Super Bowl, but what kind of wagering is being done. The prop bets coming up are going to be fantastic. They're usually quite fun. Anyhow, this week we're getting into the profit structure of repeater market resorts. Now, what we would call this, now the formal name is repeater market, but we called them locals joints, okay? And that is the lingo, locals joints, versus destination resorts. And the book does a great job of showing the comparison between a repeater market resort and Las Vegas Strip resorts, okay, or what they're calling destination resorts, or integrated resorts. So pay close attention to how those differ. Okay, on a locals market or a locals joint, these repeater market resorts, you find more heavy games because people go there. They will go out of their way just to play the games, not experience the full spectrum of what's offered at a integrated resort. Okay. Here, let me show you a picture of a local. This is just in South Louisiana, what I would call a locals joint. And you can see the differences here. They are very small. In this jurisdiction, they're also known as truck stops, but they're allowed to call themselves casinos. But what they are is in essence, what we term slot houses, okay? Meaning you go in there and there's nothing but slot machines. They can't have any table games and those types of things. But it would be a locals joint or a repeater market. So you get a higher frequency of guests coming in and out of there. And you rely heavily on local traffic. Oddly, in this last recession of 08 through 010, roughly, that one hit the casino market quite heavily. Was it 08 or 010? Anyhow, the last downturn, it hit the Las Vegas Strip revenue numbers quite heavily. However, the outside areas, the repeater markets, the locals areas, which again, you'll be seeing this in here, in your textbook, were not as affected. And in fact, it went up. So what that told us, and through some analysis of the people who went there, it was industry workers that had been laid off. It was the people who live locally that were going to that. So you did see a lot of people killing time and killing whatever budget they had or whatever furloughed money they had in the repeater market casinos. So keep all that in mind. Make sure you get a handle on the income statements, the slot reports, and so on for both integrated and repeater market. Okay, I believe that's all I've got for this week. Oh, I did get a chance to take a look at your introductions, and I responded to most of those. If I didn't respond to yours, please let me know, because it may have gotten lost. Some of y'all sent it to me in different formats, on OneDrive, on Text messages, I got a few of them. I got them emailed to me. So if I did not put them in there and you did not get a comment and or a score, please let me know, and I will be happy to address it and find it and go back to it. Great meeting all of you. I'm going to respond later on with my own introduction to you guys. But here's one thing I need to say. Everything you do and say and the way you present yourself says something about you. A lot of you guys are juniors and seniors, and you'll either be going on to grad school or applying to grad school, or you will be going out in the working world. And whatever your chosen profession will be, or your course for your career. I want to make sure you guys understand that it's how you present yourself and how you communicate that is very important. I received some of your introductions where you were in bathrobes. I had some of my students' heads wrapped in a towel because they had just gotten out of a shower. Some looked like they had just woken up and rolled over and put their phone in front of their face and said, "Hi, this is my name." Others were fantastic, yet some still had an incredibly messy room behind them, and that says something about you. Okay? Some of them were amusing, but that's not the point. I need you to introduce yourself to me in the proper way. And that's what I was looking for. Not just necessarily what you said and that you checked the boxes, but how you presented yourself. So I want you to make sure you do that in the future. Okay? So keep that in mind. All right, here's a brain snack, if you will. So, and again, this is stuff that brain snacks are things that I've built over time, or I've learned over time in my experience in the industry. Now, at one point, we were opening a casino, and we wanted to determine how much money the bus tours that we'd had, and we'll talk about these later in more detail as to what bus tours are and why we have them, and go into a little bit more detail on those. But one of the big questions that myself and some of the financial analysts that I worked with always went round and round about was, are they worth it or are they not worth it? Well, my theory is absolutely they're worth it, because even if you're not making money on this bus tour, and it comes in and all these people get off and they go into your casino. We usually give them a buffet and sometimes $5 in nickels or whatever to come in. Their body's in the door, and they fill up the place, which has a value, even though that value cannot be necessarily measured. So one of the guys asked me how much are these players worth per player? How much did they play? Well, we have tracking mechanisms, obviously. We have cards that you can play on. And again, we'll talk about this a little bit later. So I get on. Now, most of the clients that get on these buses, these are what we call Q-tips. I hate to say it, but they are usually female. They are retirement age. They have gray hair, and they come in groups, okay? So that was our typical client on a bus. Well, the one way to figure out exactly how much money they spent was not through tracking necessarily, but to ask them. So I got on the bus at the beginning when they showed up, and I said, okay, I'll tell you what, how much money did you have? Do you have on you that you plan on gambling today? And they'd say, 20, 40, 60s, something. I said, I'll tell you what, you show me how much real money you have today to gamble, and I'll double it. I gotta tell you, those ladies had places on their body that they hid more money than you could ever imagine. And sure enough, it was coming out everywhere, and they were waving it up in the air, and I had to go down the bus aisle and hand out like I was, a money machine. That was great, so I got a baseline, okay? I said, good luck, ladies, y'all have a great time. And I spent some time with them while they were in the casino. Well, then it's time to get, 4 hours had passed, and I got them back on the bus. And I walked up and I said, you know what? How much money do you have now? I'll double it again. So they did, and they came up with money so I could do the math, all right? And I could determine how much they were worth. Sure enough, over time, when we'd use that tactic to measure bus patrons' play, it was fairly accurate compared to what the tracking is and some modeling that we used. If you're interested in knowing more about that, while that's a fun way to measure an effectiveness of a program, it was an expensive measure for us also, but there's plenty of ways to do that. If you're interested in those kind of things, let me know. I'll be more than happy to tell you and highlight those as the semester goes on. So hope you enjoyed that little story. Anyhow, have a great week. Again, if you've got any questions, please let me know. You know how to reach me. Thanks.